Welcome, everyone. And today I'm going to pick a topic because I've had this come up with a couple of clients, and I know someone's going through this. And it's the difference between forgiveness versus what I call the debtor's prison. And most of the time, what this happens in a relationship is someone has done something that offends someone or hurts someone. There's been an affair, there's been a lie or lies, or there's been bad behavior. I mean, there's a genuine offense that's happened or offenses. Someone's done something, and it's something that makes the person wonder if they want to stay in the relationship or if they want to just have a real distant relationship. This can happen between family members, not just husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend. And I say this because a lot of times I've seen the folks that have been on the receiving end of this. And what a lot of literature talks about, a lot of what's real popular now is, if you've been injured, if you've been betrayed, is that it's really important that you make sure you're safe and make sure that you don't just blindly trust this person, that you don't, just pretend what they did was no big deal. Because what happens oftentimes is someone just enables this and that they say, okay, no big deal, or I forgive you. And the pattern continues. But what I've noticed with this is that, and it's a tough place because the person that's injured is that they can forgive someone, which really means to cancel a debt, which means you don't have to pay me back. And again, that's the difference between trusting. Trusting someone does require something. Before I trust you again, I need to see something to base that on. And the reason why I compare that to a debtor's prison is, if you're in a debtor's prison, what they used to do, at least, in the Western part of the world, is that you'd go to prison until you paid the debt off. And which basically means for the most part, you'd stay in prison your whole life, or back when they would sell folks as slaves, way back, that you would stay in slavery and bondage until you could pay it off. And so it wasn't forgiven as much as it was repaid. And if you've been offended, you've been hurt, how this applies to relationships is a lot of times when folks say they forgive someone or they want to forgive them, if they're not careful, they'll actually make this where the other person has to repay them for what they've done. And they're doing sort of a fair thing. I've been hurt really bad, and therefore for me to trust you, they don't say it this way, you must repay me. You must do enough things for my trust to be rebuilt. You must do enough things for a long enough period of time. And there's some wisdom in that. But they forget the part that there's a part of trust, or there's a part of forgiveness that's given, is that I choose to give you a chance. I choose to open the door, and I'm not looking for inconsistencies, because see, then I'm back to the person has to pay me back. I'm looking to give a chance, which means I'm willing to take a risk. And it has to be done together. It's not a blind thing where you just close your eyes and pretend no big deal. What that doesn't happen. What happened? It's where the person makes it a point to I cancel. I don't try to get even with you. That you, because you can't repay me. You cannot undo what you've done. You cannot do enough things to take away the pain. And I've seen especially couples that do this, and it can be the man. A lot of times it's the man with the woman. Sometimes it's the woman with the man. I've had that where one woman years ago, remember, she had an affair and she was sorry. She said it. She apologized enough times. And there's a limit as to how much someone can do. But her husband kept holding that over her head. And what that was that she could never say she was sorry enough. She could never, which begs the question of, okay, if you're not going to cancel her debt, then see, as long as you hold that over them in the relationship, what happens eventually is a person gets tired trying, because they'll say phrases like, it's a debt I can never repay. I can never do enough. I can never say I'm sorry enough. I can never prove my innocence enough. And that's not fair to the victim to be in this circumstance, I'll admit, but that's what's required of the victim. Again, if they want a relationship. Now, some instances, like especially where there's been abuse or there's been harm, the wise thing is just not to be in the relationship. So if you find yourself stuck in a relationship, if you're upset with someone or just sort of stagnated, take a look and see, or if the other person does it feel like there's a debt that you have to repay, or that you're holding that person to a debt? Or by forgiveness, am I willing to lay down my arms? It's a process. Sometimes we have to do it repeatedly. So, I have to choose not to get even with the person. Doesn't mean I can't get mad, because if it's a debtor's prison, the other part about this is the other person can't get upset with you. Once they get upset, there you go again. Just like when you cheated on me, there you go again. When you threw that pot across the room at me and stuff. And if they can never get upset, there can be no intimacy. I'm not talking about safety. Safety is different. But if they can never be upset or never raise their voice or whatever the criteria is, never say, never have a bad day, then they'll get tired of trying too, which means it's probably most likely the time to look at, do I want this relationship or not, versus staying in this and keeping a ledger as far as all the things that have done wrong and all the ways you must repay me, even though you've been injured, even though you absolutely make sense why you're hurt and upset. All right, so that's our talk about forgiveness and the debtor's prison. And I said because it's such an intimacy killer. And with couples, a lot of times it's not so much the injury, it's what couples do with it. Because every couple, no matter how much they plan, there's going to be circumstances that come about. There's going to be, one person wants one child and they've agreed upon it and they get married, and all of a sudden someone wants two, even though they've already got this agreement. There's a job transfer, someone loses a job, there's a health issue. There's always going to be something that comes up with the couple. No matter how much you pre-plan, no matter how much you talk it out, there's going to be things that happen that are going to be unfair to one person. There is no way to avoid it. And so part of the reason I mention this is a part of this is when I'm offended, do I choose to give forgiveness and not simply make it where the other person has to earn it? Because I've seen folks get stuck in that, and it's contentious, and because they can always go back to it. So yes, but you, yes, but you, yes, but you, and the person gets tired of trying after a while.